What's up guys, my name is T, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about why I'm in a very bad mood. I have just seen a video from Bug Realms on YouTube, who is a fairly good YouTuber. You should go and check him out if you haven't done already. I'm going to be commenting on his comments regarding Pets at Home's leaflet about tarantula care. Yeah, that's right. Pets at Home have released a leaflet on tarantula care. The people who can barely look after rabbits, rats, mice, guinea pigs, hamsters, small rodents, things that are fairly easy to look after, things that a 5-year-old would be able to look after. They have tried talking about tarantula care. There is a leaflet that Bug Realms has done a video on. It's over 30 minutes long. I will, if at all possible, put a link in the description or put a link in the comments section down below. He goes through the leaflet in detail. I'm just going to be going over the main talking points of this leaflet as quickly as I can, whilst including information as to why you should not listen to what Pets at Home tell you when looking how to care for a tarantula. Some of the main talking points in this leaflet regard housing, feeding, handling. What they do not talk about are New World and Old World species. There are parts in the leaflet where they acknowledge that there are New World and Old World species. For those who are unaware, New World is a species who is that comes from America, North, Central, South America, and Old World is essentially everywhere else. So Africa, Asia, places to that nature. As those of us in the hobby know, or should know, unless you're just starting out, but that's perfectly acceptable. As those of us who are in the hobby should know, New World species are very good beginner species, generally speaking. They are slower, more docile, and have lower potency venom. And Old World species are the opposite of that. They tend to be faster, more defensive, and have stronger, more potent venom. While the leaflet acknowledges that there are New and Old World species, though they don't call them that, they do not say that you should start with a New World species. So there is a possibility that there will be somebody out there who will go and get a Old World species, perhaps worst case scenario, a Old World arboreal species, which tend to be even faster, and having that as a first tarantula. And then in the leaflet it says, and I quote, "Tarantulas need careful handling." The way that they worded this will make most people who are going to be just following the leaflet, they're going to be reading through the leaflet, they're going to go, right, I need to carefully handle my tarantula, I need to have a heat mat, I need to have a heat lamp, I need to have this. Stuff that you do not need, stuff that you do not need to do, stuff that will put the tarantula at risk if you attempt to do any of those things, and more importantly, put you at risk. They do state that tarantulas can bite if they are handled improperly, and that the venom is, and it says in brackets, like a bee sting. Now, as most of you who have watched any of my videos may not be aware, I have 3 tarantulas at the moment. I have a Mexican red knee, I have a Lacidora parhabana, which is a Brazilian bird eater tarantula, and I also have a green bottle blue. All 3 of those are New World. The green bottle blue specifically, I've noticed recently, is faster than the other 2 and a little bit more defensive than the other 2, but that's kind of understandable. I haven't had her very long, she's still settling in. If somebody thought that they had to handle an Old World species, nobody in the hobby would ever recommend you do that. Sure, there are going to be some people out there who have decided they're going to try and handle an OBT. Nobody is going to recommend that. Nobody should be recommending that. Nobody at all should be recommending that. But as I said, those who are just starting out and decide that they're going to get a tarantula from Pets at Home are going to be following this leaflet to the letter. And that's the concerning part. I have learned more from watching YouTubers like Petco and several others, the Tarantula Collective, the guy who does that, Richard I think his name is. 2 very good examples of people who will provide care, who have videos talking about care, what you should and shouldn't do, how many times you should feed the tarantula within certain size dimensions and so on. and those parameters that allow you to see how you should care for the tea correctly. The problem with the leaflet, as an overarching issue, is that they seem to have gone with the idea of, we'll just cover everything as vaguely as we possibly can and hope that, nothing goes wrong. There could be grounds for lawsuits in this leaflet. I wish I was joking. Because when it says that the bite is like that of a bee sting, I've heard a story from James from That Pet Page who said that, and I quote, somebody he knows, I'm not going to name names because I don't know their name anyway, and even if I did, somebody he knows decided they were going to try and handle their OBT, or at the very least got bitten by their OBT. Their hand went black, it swelled up, they had stomach cramps for several days, it was not pleasant. Anybody who is expecting a bite to be like a bee sting from an OBT probably should know better. But at the same time, as I said, they're going to be following this leaflet to the letter. They're not going to question any of it. Pets at home, among most people, have a reputation, not particularly good reputation, but a reputation nonetheless. So they're going to trust what they tell them. If they don't know anything about tarantulas before they decide to go and buy one, they're just going to follow the instructions. I mean, you would. Why wouldn't you? You would believe what the pet shop tell you. This is the same pet store chain I should say, that seem to insist that every tarantula should have a heat source, i.e. a heat mat or a heat lamp. Most of them do not need that. Most tarantulas, as we know, are perfectly happy. Good rule of thumb, between 21 and 25 degrees Celsius. So long as you are happy, you are comfortable, the tarantula will be happy. Then it is just a case of providing a water dish, which should not include a sponge, and feeding them regularly. Depending on the size, will depend on how much and how often you feed them. For example, using my three as examples again, I tend to feed either morio worms, crickets, or small locusts. Not at the same time, obviously. I try and vary it up a little bit just so they get some variety. I tend to feed, or attempt to feed, once a week. Naru, in particular, my Redney, had not eaten for several months. She hadn't eaten since November 2019, last year. She did eat yesterday, so... No, not yesterday, sorry. She ate on the 2nd. So she's eaten, within the last week. I'll probably try and feed her again on the 7th. So that would have... No, hold on. 7, 6... My math is terrible, 17. On the 9th. So then it would have been a week. I'll probably try and feed her again then. If she doesn't eat, I won't leave the cricket in the enclosure. When they talk about feeding, they suggest feeding they do mention several different food types that tarantulas may take: crickets, locusts, morio worms. What they don't say is that you should vary what you feed and how much of it you feed depending on the size of the tarantula. They suggest that you should feed 3 times a week. So if you're feeding a cricket every time you feed 3 times a week, within a month, you're going to have 3, 6, 9, 12 crickets in the enclosure. If the tarantula is in pre-molt, because if you're feeding them that quickly and they're eating that quickly, which is, unlikely, but let's say that the tarantula is eating that much, it's going to shorten their lifespan because they're going through the pre-molt stages more regularly than they normally would. They're going to be growing faster than they normally would. Again, all of these things are not good, okay? And if the tarantula is in pre-molt while there are crickets left in the enclosure, there is a very high likeliness that the crickets will attack the tarantula while it is molting, and there is a possibility that the tarantula could be killed as a result of that. None of these things are mentioned, by the way. They say that you should feed the tarantulas this amount, and you should feed them these sorts of feeders. What they don't say is how to go about doing that in the correct manner. They are incredibly vague in the leaflet, and the way that things are worded is not good. Not good at all. What else have they covered? Yes. Heat mats and heat lamps. As I did go over vaguely a minute ago, you should not need any of those things. Okay? I'm actually kind of surprised in the leaflet that they don't mention having sponges in a water bowl, which you should never do. I've seen it in pet shops and stuff myself. Luckily, touch wood, none of the more exotic pet shops have done that I've seen. I haven't personally seen any tarantulas in a Pets at Home yet, or at least none of the ones near me, thank God. But I have been in a sort of pet shop section in a place near Gloucester. I'm not going to name the name of the place, obviously, but the garden centre in question had a tarantula there. That's where I got my LP from. And the woman who I was talking to openly admitted that they didn't know how to care for it properly. I didn't know that much about them either, so I went away that evening, looked up as much as I could about the Lasiodora parahabana tarantulas, found out as much care information as I possibly could, and then went back to the pet shop the day after and bought her because I knew enough to be able to look after her properly. And thankfully, she's thriving in her enclosure. She's very happy, so I'm quite happy with that outcome. Anyway, this video is getting a little bit long. I'm going to link the video for Bug Realms down below when he talks about the leaflet and goes through it step by step. He does it a lot better than I do. But the reason I decided I was going to make a very snippet of this topic as a video is because I wanted to bring more attention to the fact that pets at home do not know what they are doing. I highly recommend anybody who is considering getting into the hobby, as I did when I first started thinking about it, talk to people who are in the hobby. Find Facebook groups. Find YouTube channels. These people know what they're doing most of the time. And even if they don't know everything, they're certainly going to know a lot more than Pets at Home, who, at the end of the day, only try to make money. Or at the very least, that's the way it seems. So, if you go into Pets at Home, if you see a tarantula that you want to buy, if you want to get into the hobby, do your little bit of research first. Every little helps. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Apologies for what may have come across as a bit of a rant. It wasn't, but I think it needed to be said. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.